that in the early years of the 21st century, man was being closely watched by intelligence greater than theirs. Yet somehow mortal has learned.
Through the chaos, we become the Fanatics. The Fanatics. The Fanatics. The Fanatics.
That's right, folks. You are listening to Fanatics and the Fan. Not at all. The turkey has been put away. All that Black Friday madness is done. You get to have Fanatics and the Fan one more time. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. How's everybody's Thanksgiving? How was it?
Woo! Pretty good.
Good.
That's fine. It was really cheery, right?
I feel like they just had turkey like a few minutes ago.
Well, I've got
the trick to Fin, man.
I've got like 3 more pounds at home, so I've got.
I had to make an 8-pound ham this morning because I had it left over. So I mean,
I will admit, I feel a little bit heavier, and I feel like Thanksgiving is a great. So many things happen in that Thanksgiving area before Christmas, and wow, it's not just about football. It's about nerds having wonderful all the announcements.
But it is about football.
I mean, I watched
Buckeyes, baby, Buckeyes.
Right? I watched that game. I so watched that game. I'm not going to lie. I watched that game. I also watched the Lions.
I saw that game.
I was that game. I was like all excited. We're getting ready to have an overtime. Well, damn.
Things happen.
And you know what I love about Facebook? While that play was happening, I'm on Facebook going, dude, calm down. His knee was down. And arguing about the guy for all night. So, real quick, what's everybody thankful for in our nerd holiday? What are we thankful for, Brandon?
I'm just thankful for the fact that it's over and I can get back to watching regular TV again.
That's true. They've had so many specials. Although they are getting ready to do that live thing for Hairspray. That's going to happen soon.
Hey, Hairspray's cool. What do you have against Hairspray?
Actually, it's one of my least favorite musicals. It really is. I've never been a fan.
It's very 1960s.
50s, actually.
50s, yeah.
It's the late 50s because at the end she changes the dress.
What are you thankful for, Miss Alexis?
Like nerd-wise?
Yes.
There wasn't
Behave
an
yourself.
awkward family special of Once Upon a Time. Because I don't like to watch those. I don't know.
They've had a few specials that weren't bad.
No, they're fine. They just don't do holiday specials, really. They do Christmas, but they don't really do anything for Thanksgiving.
Not many people do holiday specials well anymore.
But, I mean, I don't know.
Keith.
You know what? I'm just happy with all of the just good geek stuff that's coming for next year. And the fact that we still have one television series to go that is yet to be put out there along with all the new stuff that was debuted, and that's the Archie series. So I'm kind of interested in that, given what they've been doing with the comic book over these last few years. That's just been freaking amazing.
And that is a great segue, folks. We're going to hear from Keith on some amazing geek news. So much news going on. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to keep my mouth shut during your news report, Keith. I'm not going to lie. So let's start and see what happens.
So it's
Put your seatbelt on.
The news with editorial.
Well, we're going to begin with big old-fashioned breaking news from our good friends at Cinema Blend. It turns out that they may have cast their first big role for the upcoming Star Trek Discovery television series for CBS Online. According to consulting producer Nicholas Meyer, it's looking like they have hired action veteran Michelle Yeoh to take the big role. Now, what part she's playing specifically has not been revealed.
Love her, though.
She's a very good actress. She's 54 years old. Ooh. And really doesn't look like it. Probably still...
I don't know. Ming-Na Wen is kicking ass.
I'm like, you know what we know about Ming-Na and Keith and Ming-Na? I don't think that age probably is going to be a problem for him.
Ooh, man.
So, real quick question, and,
Yeah.
and you and I have not talked about this, and when it gets closer to coming out, we're going to probably talk about it more. CBS doing this on their online.
Yeah,
side.
this has all been.
Is that
yeah.
like a guts on their part?
It's a money thing on their part. It's not the best news for a lot of fans. I personally think it's a mistake.
Considering they're online, between them and CW, their online service sucks. I have a hard time watching anything on CBS, and I can't watch anything on CW.
The C service is so annoying.
We could say that for a lot of the stuff on the CW.
Yeah.
But
That's what I'm saying.
but you know, this is actually good news for Star Trek, considering that they are now coming out of the whole news about Brian Fuller stepping down as showrunner, which was really a gut punch. For all of you out there, that would be kind of like having a Buffy-related show and having Joss leave the show.
Wow.
This is not good news, but they still have a lot of their writing staff. Now, next up, the team behind Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. They're turning the French comic book Snowpiercer, which was actually turned into a movie starring Chris Evans. They're going to turn that into...
So strange.
It is a strange movie, but good movie.
Well, it is a French comic.
They're getting ready to turn that into a pilot for TNT. And personally, I thought the movie was good. It had a good cast. Now, whether or not they could keep it going depends on...
But can you have something that dark on television?
Well, it depends. It depends.
You
Now,
have
if
it
you've
on
read the
Netflix.
comic, if they're going to follow the comic, they've got a lot of material. If they're just going to follow the film, then it's kind of limited. So, you know, you can take your pick.
I mean, I guess that channel would be the one for something that dark. But
I feel like that's almost a weird choice because I mean, like box office wasn't Snowpiercer wasn't exactly a hit. It
Wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
It wasn't made
I
for
thought
that
they went
much.
straight to video.
No.
That actually went to theaters. Oh my goodness. Okay.
But there are some films that aren't really meant to be that big.
I thought it was fantastic. I really
Yeah, it was a good movie.
This is some of that content just from the movie.
Yeah.
Seems like it would be way too dark for
Again,
you said TNT, right?
TNT.
I mean, if it gets too dark, they can always pitch it to Netflix if it's doing well.
Maybe AMC needs a new show.
Actually, I was thinking more like AMC. Although before you move on,
Yeah.
Badlands, like 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. Let's see how they do. If they have a successful season 2, that means AMC knows what the hell they're doing.
Obviously, the more important, fast approaching thing is Sherlock. Come on.
Yes. Chad Stahelski, co-director of John Wick, has now been hired to helm the Highlander reboot, which is really cool
So
news.
that's Highlander. That there can be only one, right?
Yeah.
I'm just checking. There have been several. There's now that weird
There's
like,
several within
Scottish
that story.
show with the time travel on
That's a whole different.
Stars.
Yeah.
It's a completely different concept. I'm well aware. I've had to watch it. My mother watches it, and gee, you can guess why.
Basically, look, I look at it this way. The guy that actually came up with the idea for the whole thing was not the guy put in charge or had the rights to it once it became a movie. So as far as I'm concerned, you got a guy out there who, if they hire him to actually co-run this new reboot of his original idea, will be fantastic. And you've got the right director as far as I'm concerned. Then we have the big news that Legendary has gained the rights to Dune for both film and TV. And this is cool because I think if you try to bridge it the way that they were thinking about for the gunslinger idea, I think you could do both.
No.
Film and television, because
said
it's that much material.
Dune or Doom?
Dune, D-U-N-E, the classic
now,
novel.
so let me now. I've been dying to ask all of you this.
Yes.
We've all seen the original movie, yes,
The first adapted movie, yes.
and we've seen the second one, yes. Which do you
The
prefer?
other
The one that's
The Sci-Fi Channel one. Yes.
Which do we prefer?
For my money, I like the Sci-Fi Channel one because it follows the book closer. It still hasn't got everything in there. Look, the only way you're going to be able to do Dune, in my opinion, is as a television series, kind of like Game of Thrones.
I feel like
because there's so much in there.
I feel like the first one. How long was the first one? Because I felt like it was twice as long as a regular.
Oh, yeah.
movie.
Yeah, but that's because there's so much material that you had to cover.
I agree with you. I'm just wondering what everybody thought because I honestly, the first one, I watched it long before I ever watched the
first adaptation. Yes,
right. I liked it.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously,
the sci-fi one is probably my favorite of the two. But the first one, the biggest problem I have with it is the same problem I have with like Tron and everything. Is that there's not enough of the special effects and everything that can catch up to what they're trying to do with things. As well as it just drags on because Tron is, obviously a very iconic movie, but it's one of the most boring movies I've ever watched. It really is.
Have you seen either one, Alexis?
I've seen Tron. That's really worth it. Yeah, I saw it.
I will say this: my big problem outside of the studios messing with the movie, the '84 film, is the fact that they completely just went off script and changed the ending of the story. The movie has a completely different ending. To give you an understanding, that would be like doing the first Harry Potter book and having Voldemort kill Harry at the end of the first movie.
Really stomps your chances for
right.
the 2nd through 7th.
Yeah, it pretty much just makes it.
So I will agree with the fact that a series to tell that story.
Yeah, but you could have occasional movies in there to help pump up some of the big
I would
stuff.
much rather just have like 5 seasons of this particular genre of all of this. That would be great.
Well, there's a lot more to the story, though. You have all the books. You have the rest of the books. The second book is amazing because you could tell that Lucas got some of his ideas for Star Wars from Dune. So what if in Empire Strikes Back, Luke Skywalker, in the first 15 minutes of the film, decides he's just going to walk off into the snow, and you never see him again for the rest of the films? That's what happens to the lead character in the second book. He just sort of walks off into the desert, never to be seen again. No explanation. Of course, then again, the author is kind of sort of dead now. But we're never going to find out. But there are hints that he may have come back in the story.
Now, we've met quite a few of the current Dune authors when we were at Planet Comic-Con 2 years ago.
Yeah, some of those people that were hired. But what I'm talking about is Frank Herbert himself
I know, I'm just
and his
saying.
son, who may have had an idea as to what they were going to do with Paul Atreides. That's one of those stories that, for fans of the books, that kind of leaves you hanging just a little bit and makes you a little mad. Anyway, then we have the big story about Anne Rice getting the rights back to her vampire novels and trying to approach television, which may actually be kind of a cool idea. Personally,
I don't know. I read them. She might have to go to some pretty weird networks.
Well, you know what? The Vampire Lestat, which I thought was the best out of all of them, is like a vampire sort of Hobbit type thing in its scope and adventure. Because it's really not a vampire novel. No. It's like an adventure novel. And that, to me, I always thought that after the first movie that they had with Neil Jordan, that if they were to have, like when that second film came out eventually, I figured, after The Hobbit and everything else, okay, they'll take it that way. We're going to get a big adventure. No, you got on a stick. You got something that attracted flies, and it was bad because you're taking two stories and merging it into one, and it just didn't work for anybody.
It's also kind of disappointing because that is one of the best pop culture representations of vampires, especially with Twilight being anywhere near anything.
Yeah,
nobody sparkles.
How did we make it all this time when I haven't talked about Twilight?
Easy, we have taste.
Yeah, none of us have seen it. I mean, okay, one of us has seen it, and it's not Keith. I was weak in my teenage years.
It's all right.
What, yesterday?
Anyway,
I read them all. Then I went and saw the movies. I don't know.